Alright, now we are recording. We should be streaming straight live on this as well. Okay, so those of you who have your speakers on your desktop, please mute them. Alright, so as usual, every time you start your Maya, what's the first thing you should do? Set project, that's right. Okay, so for your computers, because they are just started up, it should be in your C drive. So please go and start it up and link it to your project drive. So go to My Computer, D drive, and then find your projects. This should be the default every time you start Maya. Okay, I don't want anybody, right, to just run their scene file immediately. Alright, so please make this a habit. And you always must have a project before you start to do anything. So let me just open up the last file that I was working on, and we will continue from where we left off yesterday. Alright, so yesterday, right, we already learned how to set up this file so that we can model this World War II German rocket plane. Now, typically, right, when we start to model anything, right, we should always do some research. So our research, right, will involve collecting a lot of images about our target model. Now, is it possible to model something with just 3 drawings alone? Yes, you can. But if you do not understand the model itself, or you do not know what the model looks like from various different angles, it's always a good idea to find more images about this aircraft. So the name of this aircraft is the ME162. Alright? So it's the ME163. Okay, let me just change the name. So if you go to Google Images and search, right, you'll be able to find a lot of images to find the model itself. Now, another source of reference that you can find is you can actually look at 3D models that is done by other people. Okay, there is other 3D websites which you can preview and then look at 3D models. I think right now it's been changed to Fab already, fab.com. Alright, so if you go and search here, ME163, you should be able to find the 3D models. Okay, we will have to look for the 3D model category. So Fab, right, is actually a website that is created by the makers of Unreal Engine. Right, so you can actually find 3D models, okay, for that is produced by other people. Let me see whether I can find other things in all products. Okay. Okay, maybe that one is a bit too specific. Okay, so let me try again. ME with a comma 163. Bingo. So there is actually a 3D model that you can actually look at. So sometimes, right, this site will allow you to preview the model in 3D. Okay, for example, this one. So if I'm loading this, you can actually observe this model in 3D. You can drag it around, you can zoom in with your mouse wheel, and you can see what the model actually looks like. Alright, so for beginning modelers, right, this is a great resource. Okay, and then I believe if you press the other keyboards, right, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can actually see what the plane looks like and the topology of the 3D model. Okay, now of course I don't expect you guys to be modeling in such great detail. Alright, but what I want you guys to observe is to take a look at the 3D model yourself. Alright, and then try to break it up into different parts itself. Okay, so this is a great 3D model done by obviously a professional 3D modeler. And just by studying this 3D model itself, you can see that the plane, right, is made up of many different parts. Okay, so we can approach our model in this way. We can break it up into different parts and then we can assemble it together. All right. So the easiest way it will be to use simple primitives. Okay, for example, boxes, right, to create the vertical stabilizer, and then we start with a cube or a box, right, for the wing as well. So yesterday we used the cylinder to recreate this. Okay, so right now let's say I want to create the wing. I can start off with a cube. So in 3D view, I'm gonna shift right mouse click and then create cube. Right, and then I will move the cube up. and then place it next to my plane here. Alright, so I'll do one wing first. I'll go to the top view. Alright, you can see how fast I change the view. So I want you guys to really learn how to change the view. Once you set up your 3 views ready, to change the view to the top, right, I just need to press the space bar, left mouse click, and then slide my mouse to the left. Because I'm so used to using Maya right now, everything is like second nature to me. So put the cube right roughly in the center portion of where the wing is supposed to be, like that. Okay, and then we can use scale, R, and then scale up the box until it roughly matches the width of the wing. Okay, and the next thing you want to do is you want to check the cross section of the wing. So let's go back to perspective again. Space bar, left mouse click, go to perspective view. Now if you take a close look at the cross section of the wing, you notice that it has this very unique profile. Okay, all aircraft, right, has this thing called the airfoil shape. Alright, airfoil shape. So we do not want to model this straight away yet. We want to create a very rough shape, right, of this cross section. And if I go back to my 3D reference from Fab, okay, you can see that very clearly. You can see that cross section, very unique shape. Okay, this shape, right, is what makes airplanes fly. Right. So we want to replicate this shape. So for this basic block, first we want to get the rough thickness and then the position of the wing roughly in the correct place first. Okay. So just a simple cube like that. Then next, we want to right mouse click, go to edge selection mode, and we want to insert a couple of edge loops using the multi-cut tool. Holding down the control, I want to insert one edge loop here. Okay, and then I think that's enough for now. We're going to press Q to go to select, go over to vertex, and then scale this down like that, and then scale this down like this. So just need to select the last vertices and then just scale it down vertical like this. So I have a rough shape looking like this. If I were to press number 3 to subdivide this, okay, it looks like a sausage. Alright. But if I wanted to have more of that wing shape, I need to get rid of some of the faces on the side here. Okay. So I'm going to go over to face selection mode. Okay, make sure that I move this out of the way first. I don't want to accidentally select this cylinder. Select these two here and then delete. Okay, and then this time if I press number 3 to subdivide, now you can see we already have the basic cross section already. See that? Right, just from inserting a clap and then just changing the scale. Right, so go back to level 1. And then I'm going to put the wing in the top view. Put it as close to the side as I can. Alright, and then now I want to extend this shape all the way to the tip here. So go over to face selection mode. Okay, and then extrude. We can extrude another section here, hold down the shift and then extrude. Okay, go to the top view. Then we will move the wing over to this section here. You can press number 4 to go to wireframe. Okay, but we will lose our reference. So remember, we can assign. Yesterday we created a special material for our fuselage. We can assign it the same material. I call it the model material. So go and assign existing material, the model mat. Okay, so now it's also semi-transparent. Then I can go to vertex shape here, drag a box to select them until the wingtip is selected here, you see. So go back to my top view again. I'm going to uniformly scale it down until it matches the width of the wingtip, just like that. So you can see now my wing, right, is actually matching the shape of the reference. So let's go to perspective view and check and see what it looks like. And so far it looks okay, looks good. And then next, you can work on the vertical stabilizer. And instead of creating everything all over again, I'm just going to duplicate this by holding down the shift and duplicate this. And I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. Okay, holding down the J and rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, and then I'll go over to my right view. Then press W to move. And move the vertical stabilizer right down to here. Right mouse click, go over to vertex. And then just move the vertices down. No need to extrude or anything like that. Okay, and then grab the tail end here and move it back here. Okay, we want to keep it as simple as possible. Don't want to go too crazy yet. Okay, this one like that, and then I think this is good enough. Okay, let's take a look at the perspective view, and we want to make sure that this is in the correct position. So I'll go over to the front view now. Okay, go over to object mode, grab the vertical stabilizer, and then move it right in the center here. And we can go back to vertex mode, select all the vertices, press R to scale, and then scale it down until we have our vertical stabilizer. And before our scene becomes too complicated, let's name our parts accordingly. So this is the vertical stabilizer, so I'm going to call it or you can call it the tailfin. Tailfin. Alright, and then this one is the left wing. Okay, the left wing. Now, in airplane terminology, right, it uses the same terminology as ships. Alright, so the left wing is known as the port wing. Okay, I mean if you want to go technical, but if you want to call it left wing, it's up to you, but I'm going to call mine port wing. And later when I duplicate this to the other side, I will call it the starboard wing. Starboard is the right side. Alright, so that is the nautical term, alright, for left and right. Alright, so now we have our three views. Okay, let me go back to level 1 for every parts. And what you want to do right now is to make sure that all the parts that you created matches your reference. Okay, I have not named my fuselage yet. So the airplane body, right, the term for airplane body is known as fuselage. So I'm going to call it F-U-S-E-L-A-G-E. So that is the term for airplane body, the main body here. Alright, before I go any further, okay, I want you guys to follow the steps that I've described here. So I will stop the recording at this part. Now I'll go in part by part so that you guys can follow along. So I will stop the recording. Now before I stop the recording, I'm going to do some house cleaning. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the history because I did some edits for all these parts already. So delete away the history. Shortcut key is Alt-Shift-D. Okay, select the fuselage as well, Alt-Shift and D to delete away the history. Okay, the vertical stabilizer doesn't have any because I cloned it from the wing. Alright, so save my file. I'm going to increment and save. Okay, so it's going to add a number 1 to it. I'll stop here, then after that, you guys can follow the video, so I'll stop the recording.